What the hell? What the Haliburton? Mr. Tyrese Haliburton. Game on the line. Once again, game one of the NBA Finals this time. And OKC on the road. Knocked down the big time shot, man. We got to put respect on that boy name. Indiana Pacers. Game one, I ain't gonna lie. This was a good game. Start to finish. Indiana, they started off a little slow. Turning the ball over. Left and right. 18 turnovers in the first half. Where it looked like OKC Thunder defense was going to be too much for the Indiana Pacers offense. Where it looked like OKC was going to take full control of this game in that first half. Getting up more shot attempts. Getting out in transition. Playing fast. SGA doing what he do. Being the MVP that he is. Hey, but the Indiana Pacers, I tried to tell y'all, these whole playoffs, you got to go out with your eyes seen. You got to believe them. What you seen throughout these playoffs from the Indiana Pacers, they showed that there is a resilient team. There's a team just like OKC in a different format. Both teams, they got depth. They deep. They can go 9, 10, 11 guys off their bench and no slight of production is going to be dropped off. You got two teams that is physical on the defensive side of the ball, that get after on the defensive side of the ball. You got two teams that historically great on the offensive end. You got two teams that like to play in transition, two teams that like to play fast with the ultimate pace. You got two teams that is young and hungry and ready to win. This was a good game. This is what all the pure basketball fans was asking for in these NBA Finals. Everybody wanted this team or this team and this team. And they were saying, bro, this is going to be two small market teams. This is going to be one of the worst NBA Finals due to ratings and this and that and the third. Man, listen, bump them ratings. If we can get 7 games of this right here, 6 games of this right here, man, I'm fine. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Because all I ask for, me being a basketball enjoyer, basketball fanatic, this what embodies it. This was high level basketball, man. Especially in the NBA Finals. When the last time we seen the NBA Finals go, the last 3-4 years to the NBA Finals, no series had went past 5 games. Now I'm not saying that the OKC, they not capable of winning 4 straight. But I'm just saying, after the performance that I seen from the Indiana Pacers tonight, and what I've been seeing throughout these whole playoffs from the Indiana Pacers, I think this is going to be a long and good series. Because look, when you look at the Indiana Pacers, they play uncharacteristic on the offensive end in terms of turnovers. Which you got to give OKC Thunder credit because, like I said before, there's historically great defense. They've been the number one team in these playoffs and causing turnovers and getting out in transition. But tonight, Indiana Pacers, they was uncharacteristic. Like I said on the offensive side, they've been a team that is known to take care of the ball. They was a high turnover team tonight with 24 turnovers. But they still found a way to win this ball game. When you look at it, 18 of their 24 turnovers came in the first half. So in the second half, they was able to settle into the game. They was able to make the proper adjustments. They was able to play with the proper pace, not playing too fast. They was able to take care of the ball. They only had 6 turnovers in the second half, and that was the main difference in this ball game. What helped them ultimately lead this comeback. But you also get guys stepping in, and we seen Neesmith what he did in the who they just played in the Knicks series when he hit 5 straight threes, 20 points in the fourth quarter. He's capable of knocking down big time shots. He's not afraid of the moment. He's capable of being that type of offensive spark for the Indiana Pacers. He gave them a double-double with 10 points and 12 rebounds tonight. You look at Pascal, he's being bringing that championship pedigree, the championship level of DNA, the championship experience, being a veteran player on this young Indiana Pacers team with 19-10, hitting big time shots, being a go-to player down the stretch. You look at Miles Turner with 15, he hit 2 big time threes tonight, back-to-back, one off the backboard with a side step, and he hit one right before that. He gave you 15 and 9. You look at Andrew Nembhard. To me, he had the shot of the game over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to put them within what? I think it was 1 or 2 points. It was like a 90 seconds left in the ball game. Top of the key. Dancing on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The MVP of the NBA. Danced on him. Hit the big time 3. 14 points. Then you get Tyrese Haliburton. He only gave you 14 and 10 rebounds, 6 assists. But the thing, his 14 points came at the most I don't know how to say that word. Y'all know the opportunist time. Opportunist time. Man, y'all know what I'm trying to say. At the most perfect times. It's not about how many points you score or this, that, and the third. Can you get timely buckets when your team needs you to get timely scores? And that's what Tyrese Haliburton did tonight. When the team needed him to make big-time shots, what he's been showing you throughout these whole course of the playoffs, he did that tonight. Game on the line. A couple seconds left. Down by 1. He hits the mid-range jumper. I ain't gonna lie. When he shot that, I thought it looked short. When it left his hands, it looked short. But that mug ended up going in. We gotta put respect. Give a huge shout out to Tyrese Haliburton. Obi Toppin was the Indiana Pacers savior tonight. He started up the game a little bit shaky, man. He had about 2-3 turnovers. He was letting this guy get offensive rebound after offensive rebound after offensive rebound. I'm like, man, get this nigga out the game, man. This NBA Finals, you don't got time to be bull jiving around like that. But he came up clutch tonight. He was the Indiana Pacers low-key savior tonight. 5 threes, 17 points off the bench. Obi Toppin got it done. Once he was able to settle into the game after that terrible start that he had in that first quarter, he was able to settle into the game, get him 17 big points. He was 5 of 8 from the 3-point line, shot 63% from the 3-point line, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. You get T.J. McConnell giving you 9 points off the bench. Hey, there was a good overall win for the Indiana Pacers. And when you look at from the OKC standpoint, what I didn't like from the OKC is that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, even though he finished the game with 38 points, but he took 30 shot attempts. It looked like he was pressing too much. It looked like he was forcing the game and wasn't really letting the game come to him, and that's not really Shai Gilgeous-Alexander game and things like that. I think him shooting that many shot attempts kind of took other players out their rhythm. You look at a guy like Jalen Williams, who only gave you 17 points, but he shot inefficiently from the field. 6 of 19, shot 32% from the field, 1 for 4 from the 3-point line. I think that kind of took him out of rhythm because he's a player that like to play with the ball in his hands as well. And with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being so ultra aggressive and having his foot on the gas from the absolute start, with 14 shot attempts in the first quarter. Follow that up in the second quarter with 10 more shot attempts. Then you just carry that with you finish the game with 30 shot attempts. You look at Chet Holmgren, only had 6 points. He only got 9 shot attempts up tonight. Alex Caruso gave him 11 points off the bench. You get 9 from Isaiah Hartenstein, and to me that was the main difference. Not saying that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander lost him the game. I'm just saying I feel like that's what kind of threw off the OKC Thunder offensive momentum and their offensive flow this game. Because when you look at it down the stretch, everything, now obviously Shai, he's the best player. You want everything when the game is tied, the game is down the wire, and the game is nick and neck, you coming in a clutch situation. Yes, I want the ball in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's hands. But the thing is, he got to be able to know when to take over and when to be able to let his teammates eat as well. This is the NBA Finals. You playing up against a team that is, I'm not going to say just as good as defensively as the OKC Thunder because they so historically great at what they do on the defensive side of the ball, being able to have 2 guys that can be able to turn shots away at the rim and be able to get that type of perimeter pressure on the perimeter with Luke Dort, Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams, Casey Wallace, and so on and so on. So I'm not going to go as far as to say the Indiana Pacers is as great as the OKC Thunder defense, but I'm saying we seen tonight that the Pacers defense is capable of keeping up with the OKC Thunder offense, be able to keep them kind of intact, kind of keep them at bay, kind of keep them what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of keep them mellow, throughout the whole night, where it's not just a barrage. Now Luke Dort, he did go off tonight, hitting 5 threes, gave them 15 points tonight. But you living with that. This is the NBA Finals. If Luke Dort can beat us in the NBA Finals, you just gotta tip your hat out to Luke Dort. Him hitting 5 threes tonight, I'm not the type of guy to be like, he not gonna be able to do this again or keep doing this, because I've been a firm believer throughout these whole playoffs when teams be like, when you go on these, ESPN and Fox Networks and things like that, they be on these sports shows saying that this was a miracle, or this was this and that, and this won't happen again, or I don't expect this player to play this bad. Why not? And so I'm that type of guy. Why can't Lu Dort hit 5 threes again? So he been pretty much consistent throughout these whole playoffs with knocking down the three. I seen it in the Memphis series. We seen it in a different series. He kind of didn't get his 3-point shot going. He couldn't find a 3-point shot in the Western Conference Finals. But throughout the majority of these playoffs, Lu Dort has been, pretty much consistent at knocking down the open three and making the defense pay from the outside whenever they leave him open, whenever opportunity presents itself. But this wasn't a good game nonetheless. You seen two teams that, like I said, that kind of, what Joker say when an unstoppable force meet an unmovable object. This what tonight's game was, and this was just one team that they felt like they were better defensively. They felt like they were better offensively. Then you got another team who might felt the same way, but they showed you throughout these whole playoffs, no matter how many points they're down, no matter how many punches they take, they were resilient enough of a ball club where they can be able to overcome any lead and just be able to play for a full 48 minutes. And that's what the Pacers represent. You got to play them 48 minutes. You can't play 43. You can't play 44, because you play 44 or 48 minutes, they gonna find a way to make you pay. And they then showed you tonight, game 1 of the NBA Finals. What was that, game 3 or game 2 of the? No, that was game 1 of the New York Knicks series, when New York was up 14 points They was up 14 points in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left to go. They lost their ball game. Aaron Nesmith gave them 20 points in the fourth quarter, 5 consecutive threes. We seen it in the Cleveland Cavaliers series. Cleveland Cavaliers, that was game 2 of the semifinals. They was down double digits going into the in the fourth quarter. Find a way. Tyrese Haliburton hitting the big time shot. We seen it in the Bucks series in game 3 or 4. They was the Milwaukee Bucks. They was up I'm going to say 7, 8, 9 points with a minute left in the ball game in the fourth quarter. They find a way to win that game with Tyrese Haliburton hitting big shots. So they showed you that if you give them a little bit of green light, a little bit of light at the end of that tunnel, they gonna run to it full speed, head on. But yeah, man, this was good. It was a good game. Execution, defensive intensity, high level shot making. We seen two teams that is competitive, good on defensive side of the ball. We seen, good coaching adjustments. We seen that today that Mark Dagnall, he did not go start with the double big lineup. I think he did that to kind of try to offset the way that the Indiana Pacers play with that type of fast pace. He wanted more speed on the perimeter where they can be able to switch everything and be able to close out faster, and be able to just let Chet be the main primary defender in pick and roll situations with Tyrese Haliburton and Miles Turner, where they can be able to still, have some type of shot blocking at that back line of defense, where you're just not giving up too much on the perimeter with the type of pace that the Indiana Pacers play. So I do like the move with, not going with the double big lineup. But what I don't disagree in the same breath with me saying I do like how he started, just Chet and bring Isaiah Hartenstein off the bench. It was no time throughout this game where Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren shared the court together. And I think that could have caused problems for the Indiana Pacers, because when you look at it, Miles Turner played primarily the most of the minutes at that center position. Thomas Bryant, he come in and play a little spot minutes and things like that, where he can give Miles Turner a break and he in foul trouble and things like that. But I think Mark Dagnall got to look into that in game 2. We got to look into Isaiah Hartenstein and the Chet Holmgren, the type of mismatches and the type of problems that they can cause on the inside, on the offensive glass, even on the defensive side of the ball, when you're not going to be able to get those, those paint touches, or, those drives where they can cut off and things like that, where, I think that could have caused problems. So I think he got to look into that. I think SGA got to be able to trust his teammates a little bit more. 30 shot attempts is a little bit too much. You get 38 points, but 30 shot attempts, if I'm the Indiana Pacers, I'm living with that. Because, we know Shea going to get his 30, but we got to make it as hard as possible for him to get those 30. And today, they made it as hard as possible. 38 points on 30 shot attempts, we living with that. If it take your star player to get 30 shot attempts to get 30 points, you did a damn good job. A damn good job, because he was doing a whole lot of shooting. and everybody else wasn't getting those same looks and those same opportunities on the offensive side for the OKC Thunder. But that's enough about the OKC Thunder, because I really feel like, this game was about how the Pacers won this game. It wasn't just the Thunder lost this game. The Pacers had to win this game. They had to come and take this game. They was down, pretty much 10, 11, 12, 13 points throughout the whole game. Now, of course, the Pacers, they went on runs where they got the ball game within, 4 points. They got the game within 6 points. Got the game within 8 points. Where they kept it and make it right there. Where they still in arm's reach. They still in distance. Where they can be able to, they run away from winning this ball game. And I think that's what they did a good job of. Like I said, you don't have to score every time down. You don't have to score, in 2-3 minutes. As long as you playing good on the defensive side of the ball, but you still need to be able to score at timely spots. And I think the Indiana Pacers did a good job of that, hitting timely baskets when they needed to. Whenever to stop the bleeding, to stop OKC from going on those 15-0 runs, those 16-0 runs, those 20-0 runs, those 22 runs, things like that. So I think they did a good job. Now, this gonna be a good series because you look at it. OKC was able to turn the Pacers over 24 times tonight, which is very uncharacteristic. Uncharacteristic from the Indiana Pacers. 18 turnovers in the first half. They was only down 9 going into halftime with those 18 turnovers. That was a positive sign right there from the Indiana Pacers. That just showed you how good of a ball club and how good of a team that this Indiana Pacers team is. Because if that was anybody else with 18 turnovers in the first half, OKC would have been up by 20 plus. We seen it in the Timberwolves series, we seen it in the Memphis series, and we seen it in the Denver series, more or less. Once I think Denver did pretty much a good job of kind of controlling turnovers. They kind of accumulated those turnovers throughout the whole game. But you get 18 turnovers in the first half, more than likely OKC is pretty much running away with that game. But the Indiana Pacers, they stayed with it. They stayed resilient. They knocked down big shots. And that's how they won this game. I want to look at the rebound differential and the shot attempt differential between the two teams, because with those 24 turnovers, and that's another thing, because I really said this in the last series with the Minnesota and the OKC. I said if Minnesota was able to take care, so Pacers had 24 turnovers, but how many were those live ball turnovers that led to transition baskets? A lot of times when OKC not getting it going on the offensive side, they tend to lean on their defense to be able to cause havoc on the defensive side of the ball and be able to get out in transition. Tonight the Indiana Pacers, they might have had 24 turnovers, but how many of those was dead ball turnovers where they were still able to match up on the defensive side of the ball, still be able to play in the half, still make OKC have to play against their half-court half-court defense. I think that was the main thing as well. Now, when you look at it tonight, 82 field goals for the Indiana Pacers, 98 field goals for the OKC Thunder. So 16 more shot attempts for the OKC Thunder. You win a turnover battle by plus 11. And you go to the free throw line 3 more times and you make 7 more free throws than the Indiana Pacers. You still lose this game on your home court. That's why I say if I'm Indiana Pacers, that's an optimistic team right there. We won this game and we didn't play our best. We played uncharacteristic. We turned the ball over. We allowed them to get up 16 more shot attempts than us. We allowed them to get to the free throw line more than us. We didn't knock down free throws at a higher rate than they did. But one thing that I can say that the Indiana Pacers did do tonight was make sure they rebounded the ball. Indiana Pacers won the rebounding battle 56-39. 56-39. And that's where it goes back to why I said with Mark Daniel, gotta look at that two big man lineup with Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. You got to. Sometime in this series, you don't have to start them. But at some point of this series, and some point in time in a ball game, Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein got to share the court, because you got to see how that Rick Carlisle, it's a chess match. Y'all made the first chess move with inserting him out the starting lineup. Now I feel like y'all got to make the next chess move because that chess move didn't work tonight. You get killed on the glass. You lose the ball game. Obviously, y'all was able to keep. Y'all was able to turn them over, which what you wanted to do. You wanted to turn them over. You wanted more perimeter defense out there to be able to cause more havoc and things like that. But you look at it, in the long run, that didn't really work out for you. OKC was 11-30 from the three-point line. Indiana Pacers was 18-39. They shot 46% from the three-point line. OKC shot 37% from the free throw line. OKC only shot 40% from the field. Pacers shot 48% from the field. So when you look at it, OKC has been good in these playoffs at winning in the margins. And what I mean by winning in the margin, I mean out-rebounding their opponents, make sure they take care of the ball, making sure they turn the ball, make sure they get their opponent to turn the ball over more than they do, making sure they win the rebounding battle, making sure they get to the free throw line more and executing more. And that's what I mean by the margin. But you look at it tonight, outside of the turnovers, I think Pacers won by the margins tonight. Made more three-pointers. They didn't get more shot attempts up, but they made they made the same amount of field goal attempts with 16 less field goal attempts. Shot better from the field, shot better from the three-point line, and out-rebounded them. 13 offensive rebounds, and out-rebounded them by what's that? 56-39. By 17, that's the ball game right there. But nonetheless, this was a good game, 1 win for the Indiana Pacers. Be able to go in a hostile environment on the road against this team where they were severely the underdogs in this series. That just goes to show you how good of a team, how deep a ball club, how resilient the Indiana Pacers are, and how for real and legit that this team is. We look at this playoff run and everybody gonna put asterisks by it. In the first round, Dame got hurt. Second round, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley missed a couple games. They're gonna put an asterisk by them, but they still had to go out and compete and win. Same thing in the first round. They still had to go out and compete and win. In the third series, it's no excuses. When they played the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, it was no excuses. They was healthy. Pacers was healthy. Mano y mano, man on man. They took their bet off and gave them leather. So the Pacers didn't show you throughout these whole playoffs that they is able to compete with with the top teams. They is able to compete with anybody in this league with the type of way that they play offensively, the physicality they play defensively, how they all on one string on the defensive side of the ball, with them being able to rebound at a high level, with them able to take care of the ball, which they didn't do tonight. But like I said, both teams got room for improvement, and I'm curious to see the adjustments that both coaches make in game 2. Obviously, if I'm Rick Carlisle, I gotta tell my guys, look, we won this game, but listen, we can't give up 16 more shot attempts. We can't turn the ball over 24 times. Now, obviously, the turnover battle, it's kind of a little bit skewed a little bit, because when you look at it, 18 turnovers in the first half, second half, 6 turnovers, and with that with them taking care of the ball in the second half, that led to opportunities to be able to get shots up at the rim. That led to opportunities to be able to draw fouls. That led to opportunities to be able to put points on the board and not take points away from the board. So when you look at that, then when you look at the OKC Thunder, when you look at the shot attempts, the ineffectiveness from Jalen Williams, from the Chet Holmgrens, from the Isaiah Hartenstein, when you get dominated on the rebounding battle like they did tonight. So both teams got things that they can work on and look at a game 2 where it's gonna be a good game, man. And make sure y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We is on the road to 400 subs, so make sure y'all hit that sub button, hit that comment section below who y'all let me know who y'all got winning game 2. And I'm gonna see y'all when they play again. What today is? Thursday. I will see y'all Saturday night after game 2. So make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, and I'm gonna see y'all next time.